Welcome back to a brand new episode of Your Wealth and Beyond. I'm your host, Andrew Raffel, and we have a good friend in the Dream Plan Retire studio. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a jack of all trades and just an all-around good guy. My good friend, Kyle Wyloge.
There you go.
Wyloge.
Nailed it.
Got it. Nailed it. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Your Wealth and Beyond podcast is about building wealth and finding purpose, and who better to discuss all of those items than you? And you've got a pretty amazing background, built a couple companies, and have done some extremely instrumental stuff in the real estate industry. So wanted to dig in a little deep on how you've built this company, Andrew the Home Buyer, and really taken an industry by storm, and now you're all about scale. So we're going to dig into a little bit of that today. But what's your background? Serial entrepreneur? Has it always been in your blood? How did we get into where you are today?
I would say that I was a terrible employee. So I graduated high school in 2005. I had a 1.8 GPA. College was not on the horizon for me. So my thought was, go find a job, something that I can have unlimited earning potential where I didn't need to be trained or educated in it, really. So I got my real estate license 4 months after I graduated high school. 2006, 7, 8, the market started to crash, kind of the Great Recession that we had then. I got into the foreclosure business, so we were representing asset management companies to sell off foreclosed assets. Did that for a couple years, and then in 2010, I started a trustee sale bid service. And that's when I kind of left the retail buyer-seller representation side of the business, and we did trustee sale auctions in Arizona. And so we had a bid service where we had guys waking up at 4 a.m. and driving properties. There'd be 90 to 150 foreclosures a day, and we would go bid on those properties, and we'd bid on them for ourselves. We'd bid on them for other investors, and do the typical flip and sale.
And this was back in that 08, 09 where you were buying properties for like $25,000, $30,000.
Yeah, and then it bled into 10, 11, 12 when we got into the really heavy auction business. But yeah, there were properties in Phoenix that we were buying for $12,000. Single family houses.
$12,000, you'd put a little bit of money into it.
So we'd put more money into it than our purchase price. So sometimes we'd buy it for 12 to 20 and spend 30 to 50 renovating it. And
so, but not knowing anything about the industry, did you have somebody that helped get you involved as a mentor?
Yeah, so from 2006 through 2006 through 8, I worked for a guy for 3 years, and that was on the REO side. So kind of learned from him, learned from the team, and then I broke off on my own when I was 23, and haven't gone back.
And did you have employees in that beginning time frame?
When we started the bid service, I had a partner, and then we had 2 property drivers that would go drive properties every morning. I had 2 full-time bidders, so they would bid at the auctions on behalf of our company and then our investors. Then we had a couple office people. Yeah.
And were you taking investor money at this point, or was it all from just your money, and then you kept flipping and flipping and flipping?
Started off all investor money. So we would go out, find somebody with some capital who worked a full 9-to-5 job, and we would do a JV with them. They put up the money, we find the properties, we manage the process, and then there'd be a profit split.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You think about all the people that got into becoming a real estate investor in 04, 05, 06, and probably didn't know what they were doing. I call it the taxi cab test, right? When you're in a cab in Vegas and he just say, I bought 4 properties with no money down. So you were in a sense being able to take advantage of the dynamics of that.
Their mistakes, yeah. It was the movie The Big Short, right? They're at a strip club, and the stripper's talking about how she has her primary residence and she has 7 townhouses, and it's like, all right,
the top is in.
Yeah, this thing ain't good.
So that obviously for you, timing was perfect. And what was some of the trials and tribulations that you had as you were trying to figure out as a 23, 24-year-old how to make this work and make sure the investors are taken care of and, running and gunning?
Yeah, so I'm super thankful that I didn't get into the market when it was going up in 3, 4, 5. I've told people before that I think that if I would have started 2 years earlier, I wouldn't have made it, because I would have learned all these bad habits, bad leverage, no equity, no skin in the game. And I don't think I would have made it to where I am today. So when I got into the business, we were like at the very top and just about to crash. And so I learned the business and I learned all of my habits when there was blood in the streets. I mean, there were, again, 150 plus foreclosures a day for years in Maricopa County. And so people were losing their houses. And I, kind of grew up and came up with watching these people with, a 3,000 square foot house, a boat, 2 cars, a bunch of jewelry, and they're getting a 20-day eviction notice to walk out of their house. So I kind of learned a lot from just the environment that I came up in. Trials and tribulations, again, just really learning from what was going on, because we were buying properties and evicting, to us, grown adults. Like, we were 23, 24 years old, and these people would have kids, and it was a bad situation. And it kind of jaded me in my investment business still to this day, but we are super cautious on our investments. And it's because I came up, during that period of time.
And, knowing you for all these years, just a side note, listeners, Kyle and I have been part of EO and in an EO forum for probably 4 years. So I know a lot about how you're dialed into systems and technology and leveraging that and knowing your numbers. And we're going to talk a little bit today, or a lot on marketing. But back then, you really weren't running a company, right? It was more so, it was on you. You saw that there was this opportunity and just trying to shake out the industry. But you, at that point, it was more of you just boots on the ground and just hustling.
Yeah, more like a solopreneur, right? So like I had employees and I had people around, but I'd get to the office at 4 a.m. I was working all day, all evening. I was doing a lot, and so I think that really helped me kind of learn all facets of the business. And then over the last, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years now, I've grown to more of a management role. So, and we can get into the numbers, but last year we purchased 318 houses. I didn't go on a single appointment. I didn't talk to a single seller. I have somebody that manages all the sales. So, I've learned all the pieces of the business and I've done it all. And so now I've learned to delegate it and how to manage those people and how to, make those people as successful as possible.
So let's flash forward then. So you get into the business, 08, 09, 10, you're running, you're buying properties, you're returning them, you're probably holding some of them. But now we have a company called Andrew the Home Buyer. Mm-hmm. And this was for you the way from the standpoint of what you saw in the industry, of what was missing in a sense of for the people that are looking to sell homes. So let's talk to listeners through a little bit of Andrew the Home Buyer, what you saw, why you built it, and then as you've grown it over these last 5-6 years, what the plans are. But what is Andrew the Home Buyer to the listeners?
So in 2015, I had a traditional real estate office, and we wanted to start doing direct to seller marketing, going directly to homeowners to buy their properties. And I hired a guy named Andrew. And Andrew, before coming on with me, had door knocked and sold something in 42 states. Alarm systems, dish network, life alerts. And at the time that I met him, he had just had his first kid in Arizona. And so he didn't want to go back out on the road. And so we linked up and I said, hey, I want to build an outbound prospecting team. No marketing, strictly prospecting. And that was kind of right up his alley. So I said, hey, I'll teach you how to do the business side of it. You guys have to go do the prospecting and the doing. And so we built up a sales team. And from 15 to 19, we would have, it was kind of a revolving door because it was outbound sales. But we'd have 20-ish guys at a time, and they'd go out and they'd door knock every morning. They'd cold call. They would do flyers. We would do mail campaigns, text message campaigns, and it was all direct to seller to buy properties. And it's a grind. I mean, outbound sales it's a grind. A lot of people get upset. They're calling angry. It's a grind. And we were doing 80 to 90 transactions a year. And in 2019, I went to Andrew and I said, hey, I think we should do TV commercials, because in Arizona, there was only one other group doing TV commercials for, hey, we'll pay cash for your house. And so in 2019, we linked up with a media guy, and it was originally called Kyle and Andrew. So it was going to be kind of, there's a law firm, Lerner and Rowe. They're huge. Yeah. We thought, well, this other cash buyer, it's just one guy. Why don't we go the Lerner and Rowe route? It'd be Kyle and Andrew. I'm Kyle, he's Andrew. We want to buy your house. Booked a studio for Monday morning. Sunday night, I called the media team and I said, hey, I don't want to be in the commercial. It's just not who I am. And Andrew loves that. He loves the attention, and he is that person. He's lovable. He walks into anybody's living room, they're going to love him.
Yeah, there's a comfort factor with him. He's
Big
just
time.
like the guy next door.
Everybody loves him.
Trust him. He's your son.
Yep. And
Let's
so
not get his head too big, though.
It's got a big
bigger.
head.
We got pop.
So Sunday night, I canceled Kyle and Andrew. I said, hey, let's just call it Andrew the Home Buyer. And if it doesn't work, 90 days out, we'll do a reshoot, call it Kyle and Andrew, and try that again. And then we aired a couple weeks later on a Monday, was our first day. And we had like 13 calls our first day. Just like, whoa. And so we went from prospecting, where it was us calling homeowners and door knocking and people getting upset. Don't ever step on my property. Don't call me ever again. And now these people are calling us and they're saying, hey, we want to invite you into our home. And it was just like dumbfounding. And so we went from, late 2019 where we were doing that to where we are today. And we've grown it from me and Andrew and 3 people to we've got 14 people at the office now. We are in 4 different markets. We have what we call on weeks and off weeks, but in Arizona and Nevada, we're on every day of the year. In Utah, we have a 1 off week per month. But on our on days between all 4 markets, we have something like 518 commercials per day. And so we are everywhere. Billboards, we have a big pay-per-click budget. And so now it's grown over the last 3 years. We've grown it to be just a marketing budget. And so, we've learned a lot about marketing. We do a lot of testing with commercials. We've done focus groups on information. We've done surveys on people to identify how well they know the brand. It's grown into this massive marketing business.
So really, you're a marketing company that happens to just be in real estate.
By real estate.
So prior to 19, before you started doing the commercials, it was Andrew the Home Buyer, that brand that you guys have significantly grown. Did that even exist, or were you just?
It was just a different company back then. Andrew the Home Buyer, it's the exact same business. It's just we changed the name.
Right.
Andrew and I have been in business together. August will be 9 years. The Andrew the Home Buyer brand, it's just grown to be massive. I mean, we have Super Bowl commercials. We're on most of the NFL games. Now that we're in Vegas, we have commercials during the Raiders games. And so if you go to like Caesar's Palace and you see the massive big screens, on Sundays you'll see our commercial in there. It's pretty cool. All
the commercials are still aimed around the real quick hit with Andrew. Just what is it? What does it consist of for the
gist of it is? Yeah, the gist of it is, hey, we'll pay cash for your house. We buy properties as is. There's no repairs. We do non-refundable earnest money right away. We do what's called a post-possession. So a lot of times we'll close in 5 to 7 business days. Seller gets all their money, and then they might have a 20 to 60 day post-possession where they get to stay in the house and kind of figure out what's next, or they have the ability to move without, double move or hiring movers because they have time. And they get all their money when they sell the property.
So who is the avatar client that would see the commercial or see your social media or see your other marketing and would reach out to you? Who are we looking for?
At the beginning, it was mainly distressed properties. So, death, divorce, inheritance, hoarder houses.
You've seen probably some.
Yeah, I mean, we've had adult protective services call us to buy properties. I mean, there have been homes where you're walking through a canyon of garbage taller than you and I.
Throw the hazmat suit on.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go inside.
You're just like, how do people live this way?
Yeah, really, and honestly, like it's not even a judgment thing. It's just it's more sad. It's like, gosh, how did they get to this situation? But a lot of times people look at real estate investors sometimes as like sharks, or they're taking advantage of people. We don't do that. And we tell homeowners, like, hey, don't tell us your price. Like, our goal is that you make as much as you can, but we also have to make a profit. And if there's somewhere in the middle that works for both of us, great. And if not, you should go another route. And we don't try to force people into a transaction with us. And because of that, I mean, we get a lot of referrals. And I don't think there's a lot of real estate investors who get referrals from homeowners, because a lot of times I feel like sellers kind of feel slighted in the transaction. And with us, I mean, we get people crying, thanking us, and we get great Google reviews and good BBB reviews. And we'll get calls like, hey, you bought my cousin's house, or you bought my mom's house, and now I want to sell to you.
Is it part of it is just you make this process so simple for them?
Yeah. I mean, the seller pays no fees, no commissions. We pay all title and escrow fees. All that they have to do is pay off the mortgage, any unpaid taxes, any liens. Otherwise, we take care of the rest. We pay for a mobile notary to go to their house to do the signing, so they don't even have to go into the title company. it's a very streamlined and easy process for a homeowner.
And so let's walk back to 19. So you start doing the commercials. You're like, wow, the light goes on. This is working. And now all these leads are coming in. So you're going from that push-pull marketing, right, where you're just pushing and trying to now they're coming to you. Mm-hmm. Now you're a systems guy, right? So all of a sudden you're spending a bunch of money, but you're getting the leads in. So what kind of things did you have to do to make sure the systems were in place, to leverage the technology, and to make sure that the people that are getting those inbound calls are doing their job so you can train them effectively so that the return on investment can continue to grow and expand?
Yeah. So I'm a big numbers guy. I've got really good tracking. We use a call system. So all of our inbound calls are automatically routed based on a system that we set up based on who's available and who's received previous calls. Every inbound call is recorded. So what we'll do is we'll listen to calls and then we'll sit with our sales guys and kind of talk through key points like, hey, you did really well on this call and here's why, and here's an area where you can improve, and hey, don't say this, or hey, maybe next time say this, and we'll work through objections that a seller might have. So a call system that allows us to record and listen to all the inbound calls. Every online lead submission gets sent to 11 people. So really big in our industry and in our office, we call it speed to lead. So there will be situations where a homeowner is on our website submitting their property and their information. They press submit and they get a phone call while they're still on the website, and they'll address that like, whoa, you called really quick. My guys are incentivized based on call answer rate. So we might have 400 inbound calls in a month. And we will typically be at like a 94 to 96% answer rate. And that was a big learning thing for us, is that early on our answer rate was like 60 to 70%. And so we kind of made it a goal to get above 80 and then 85 and then 90. And it was so simple. Like if you answer that initial call, our appointment count goes up. If our appointment count goes up, our contract count goes up. And so what we've been able to do is take all of our online leads, all of our call counts, we track every appointment. And so now we can say, okay, if we want 42 contracts this month, we want to buy 42 houses, that's going to take this many appointments. That's this many answered calls and online lead submissions. And then we can kind of just back into it and say, well, this marketing budget generates this many leads. And so because of that, we know we're going to get this many appointments, this many contracts. And so it's really, for now, it's just an easy, like an algebra formula, right? It's really easy. Like, okay, if we want X, what's it going to take to get there?
Right. Feed the machine. We know this is going to happen. And listeners, that's why it's so important to know your numbers. So many times people will look at marketing and they'll just throw money at different areas and different funnels, and they won't be able to track what's the return on the investment. In some marketing, it's difficult to track return, if it's going to be social media type things. Obviously, with you spending a ton of capital in commercials, those commercials cost money, right? Yeah. You're spending budget-wise, depending upon if there's a football season, political campaign, you are up against the big boys. Mm-hmm. And so it has to work. And knowing those numbers is a critical piece. How did you do in the beginning? Was it just spreadsheets, or was it automated through like a CRM type system where you're able to feed it all in?
Yeah, at the very beginning, we had a super basic CRM for our entire office. It was like $60 a month for everybody total. And yeah, we would do a dump into an Excel spreadsheet. We would take a look at call times, call counts. I have a pretty cool master tracking sheet. So it identifies every inbound lead, when it came in. We can point it to say like, this lead came in because of that exact commercial. But yeah, at the beginning, super basic CRM, using Excel a lot. Fast forward to where we are now, just kind of through trials and trying to make it better and really understand. Because my big thing is like, we're big on efficiency. Like I want to capitalize on every dollar spent. And so we identify it based on what's our cost per lead, cost per contract, cost per appointment. And then from there, we can really identify like how profitable is this? And so we're always aiming at getting, our cost per everything down, right? Cost per lead, it's a little hard for us to get that down because it's kind of more of a fixed price. But cost per appointment, how well are we answering the phones? What's our conversion like? And then cost per contract is, okay, well, we're going on this many appointments. Andrew, what's your conversion rate? Because in Arizona, Andrew goes on most of the appointments. And there's no better single human in real estate at converting than him. I mean, put him up against anybody in the nation.
And he's had like no training, right? It was mainly
for the
besides like I guess boots on the ground of him doing all those door-to-door sales.
Yeah, I mean, for the first year and a half, so 2015 through 17, he went on appointments with me, and so he would follow me on appointments and barely even talk, and so he learned a lot from me during that period of time. But I mean, he's only been in real estate since he joined me, so I mean, he hasn't been in it all that long.
Does he have a better close rate than you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you hear that, Andrew?
Yeah, he's a solid. A bad month for him would be 44%. There's some months he's at 52 to 56%. So it's like, all right, guys, if we want 42 contracts, set 85 appointments. We'll buy 42.
And so as you start scaling now to these other territories, we're in Vegas, where else? Utah. Obviously, Andrew can't go to all these places, right?
Yeah.
So there's only one Andrew. What, besides him being the face, and now we get new person going in, what type of training do you do to try to get them to emulate Andrew, or is it just pieces of what Andrew is and then make them take that and you are who you are, but follow these guidelines on how Andrew does it?
Yeah. So when we went into Vegas, we identified someone who had been in the industry for a little bit already. And so we flew them to Arizona. They spent like a week at the office with us, listening to my guys on inbound calls, learning our CRM, going on appointments with Andrew, sitting with our admin team, like walking through our contract and why it's written the way that it is, but really training them on what Andrew the home buyer is. It's, don't go into the house and try to trick the seller into some contract, how we communicate with homeowners. And then he went back to Vegas, and the way that we run the business is every lead for all markets goes to our office in Chandler. So my team in the office in Chandler, we take every call for Southern Arizona, Northern Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. We kind of run them through our underwriting process as we get the lead in Arizona. And then from there, it's, okay, is this good enough for an appointment? And if it is, it goes into a shared calendar for the Nevada team or the Utah team or Southern Arizona, and it pops up on their calendar. And then they have a seat in our system. We use a system called Follow Up Boss. They've got a seat in that CRM. And then they get a notification, hey, you have an appointment tomorrow at 2. And then what's cool is with Follow Up Boss, my guys in Nevada can then go into Follow Up Boss, listen to the recorded call. Every text message and email that the client interferes with or does with our callers is all recorded in Follow Up Boss. So they can see the entire conversation. They can listen to the phone calls. And then my underwriting team will put notes in like, hey, we think it's worth this. This is where we want to be. And so the boots on the ground is how we refer to them. The boots on the ground, they can show up and they can appear to be overly educated. They know everything about what's going on. And really all they did is spent 5 minutes reading and listening to some notes. And then they walk in and they're educated. And then it's kind of like, all right, take it from there. You know where we're trying to buy this house at, and here's how we can make it work, and run with it.
Is a success in these newer territories with Utah and Nevada? Have we seen the same close rates without having Andrew going out there?
At the beginning, Nevada was lower, but it's quite a bit better now. I think we went on 3 Vegas appointments yesterday. We bought 1, and I think we have a contract out on a second. Our team in Utah was a little bit different of a structure. We found a team in Utah that was already doing this at a pretty high level. And so we did a joint venture with them. So really we're more of just the marketing machine, and then we handled the inbound call. And then from there it gets pushed off to the team in Utah, and they've got 6 or 7 guys there. They know the market really well. And so they're a really solid team.
I mean, it seems like if I'm a real estate individual, it's a dream to have the marketing machine just start every single week. Here's more leads, and then the systems behind it.
Yep.
So, but I think that's smart too, not to have to figure out, because every state or every city has its own nuances.
Yeah.
So especially with Utah, it's probably a little bit harder for you to I feel like Vegas is probably more like Phoenix.
Vegas is a lot like Phoenix. Utah, yeah, I mean, it's more seasonal, right? So like we didn't realize it, but in Utah, December through February, it's really slow. It's a slow market because it's cold. People don't want to move. You can't really do construction well, but it picks up a lot in the summer. So we're kind of planning for that too. So
culture-wise, you're, although very successful, I still look at you as more, you're reserved in your nature, right? You're not just like this, hey, we're going to go crush it, right? But you've built a company that's this high-octane growth.
Yeah.
So how have you taken that and been able to, and you've had some, turnover over the years, right? But now having this team that's dialed in, how have you built this culture to not be so focused on sales, even though that's the end game, but be able to be growth minded, but utilizing your personality to get the best out of the team?
Yeah. So my team it's a lot of young guys. I mean, our guys are 21. Actually, we have a 20-year-old now, 20 through low 30s.
Okay.
You know, in my early career, I was always the youngest guy in the office, and now I'm like the oldest one. It's changed.
See some gray hairs coming in.
I know, a lot of gray hairs, but they are incentivized. You know, they're very cash incentivized. So, you know, there's different personalities. Some people, you know, they need words of affirmation and gifts and stuff like that. My guys, they like trips to Vegas. Mm-hmm. They like expensive shoes. They like cars. They like jewelry. They like expensive dinners. They like resorts. So I've kind of allowed them to build the culture and the environment that they need to thrive. Because for me, kind of like you said, I'm reserved. I'm pretty stoic. Like I don't need the fluff. Yeah. And you know, we have a joke in the office that I don't give I give attaboys, because a lot of times guys will say, oh, I just did this, this, and this. It's like, okay, well, are you saying that because you need an attaboy? And so I'll get a Post-it note and write attaboy on it. But for me, I don't need that words of affirmation or that like attaboy pat on the back. But you know, the guys in the office do, and so they get it. But I've really allowed them to build this culture of like, you know, actually yesterday, great example. For the last week and a half, we've been doing our 2024 goals. We're a little late on it, but so yesterday we all met. And everybody shared their personal goals, company goals based on monthly performance, quarterly, and then the yearly goals. And then once we had those goals figured out, we said, okay, well, now let's stretch them. So as an example, if we get a certain number of transactions in January, we're going to go really big at waste management for the Phoenix Open. If we have a killer January through June, we're going to do an all-inclusive trip to Vegas, get everybody rooms at the Cosmopolitan. We did it last year, and we had, who's the rapper? We had Lil Jon at our table. Nice. So we go big, like really big. And that's what the guys are into. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's not what I need, but it's, you know, the way that I look at it is like, it's not really about what I need, because if I can build this from the bottom up to have the guys that are, you know, the sales team and the guys like grinding every day, if they love coming into the office and they love these incentives that we do, you know, it's only going to benefit everybody. Right. Yeah. I mean, we have one incentive that, you know, hopefully we don't hit it, but, they get a wakeboard boat. So we just said that yesterday.
How's that stretchy stretch though?
That's stretch. That's
so everyone's a winner in that case.
Yeah, if we're buying a wakeboard boat, we all do well.
So and you're with these younger guys and maybe gals too, but you're changing lives, right? You're taking these individuals that, you know, maybe didn't have the Ivy League education, right? And maybe were in school told they're not going to be successful, and you're able to mold them and shape them and build this environment to literally change their trajectory. Yeah,
it's been cool. I've got a kid on the team. I call him a kid. He joined us when he was 17. He's 24 now, and he dropped out of high school. No high school diploma, no GED. He currently owns, he's big into cars. He likes flipping cars. He currently owns 6 cars. 2 of them are BMWs. 3 of them are BMWs. He has a truck. In 2023, he made over $250,000, and no high school, no GED. He came on with us really young. And yeah, he was one of these kids where the teachers probably, you know, treated him like shit and never thought he was going to do anything. And now he's like, yeah, look at me.
I hope you're paying him W-2 versus 1099.
Both.
Okay, those 1099s, make sure they withhold the taxes.
I know. We have a lot of tax talks in the office.
A lot of tax talks.
They're all pretty good.
Yeah. Anytime you need a tax professional to come in, we can recommend somebody to you. We don't do tax advice here, but you know, that's you know, I think when you build a culture with that high-octane sales, it's not, like you hit it on the head, not what makes you happy. It's what can I build to make them be the most successful. And for some, they don't need the money. Some they need the pat on the back or the recognition in front of the team. But in the role of sales, money plays
for sure
most of the time there.
Yeah. And I mean, you've seen our office. It's a pretty cool office. Yeah. I mean, the biggest room in the office is the game room. We've got 2 love sacks, a video game console, an Xbox, 3 TVs in there, a couple couches. And so they enjoy being there. And a lot of times I get notifications on my phone when the alarm turns off and on. And guys will go in there on Saturdays and work. And I'll see sometimes the alarm doesn't get set till 8 o'clock at night because they're there working and probably playing video games. And so I'm good with.
So the scope of the goals for this year, just so the listeners who really don't understand the industry that much, like what are you guys going to close on this year if you hit your modest goal numbers?
Yeah. So last year we did 318 transactions. That was like 1.22 transactions per business day. The goal this year across all markets is 420 purchases.
Interesting number there.
Yeah, I didn't set it,
20.
but the guys did.
Okay.
That's 320 traditional purchases, which we consider traditional purchase. TV marketing came to us.
Okay.
The other 100, we've kind of gone back to our roots of the outbound team. So we've brought on an outbound team in the last month, trained them up, and they just started last week. So this team now goes out and they door knock every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do what's called spot knocking. So they'll find a neighborhood of 1 mile by 1 mile square, and they will identify properties that are in pre-foreclosure, death, divorce, probate situations, unpaid property taxes, any liens, stuff like that. And we'll go there and we'll drop off a pamphlet about Andrew the home buyer and how we can help. And then they'll also door knock the entire neighborhood and do flyers. And so kind of back to the roots, because we were purchasing 80 to 90 homes a year prospecting with an unknown brand. Well, now our brand is so well known that it's like, okay, well, there's still people doing that prospecting. Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we going out there and trying to continue to prospect? Because as much TV as we do, there's still people that don't watch TV, or there's people that rarely watch TV. And so really getting this brand that we've built, which is a very well-known brand here locally now, and getting it in front of more people.
And it takes a special person, though, to do door knocking in today's world.
It does.
90% have Ring cameras, so they've got to be on point. But if you've got the people that can do it and you've got the manpower that can handle it, then it's just more of that. It's just another marketing funnel.
Yeah, for sure.
So scaling, we look at Nevada, we look at Utah. You've just brought on more of a C-suite to help take some of or a lot of the work away from you having to be in the weeds on everything. What's the goal here? What are we looking to do over the next, what's your 3 to 5 year vision?
Yeah, somebody asked me that at a happy hour last night. I think my goal right now is to just continue to run it. I mean, I don't really want to sell it. I love it. It's a lot of fun for me. I think the goal is to continue to grow. So we have a couple markets on the horizon that we're going to go to. Our goal is to do 2 additional markets this year. This year's screwy because it's an election year. And so all of TV, radio, billboards, they have a price adjustment from August through November because of the election. And so, random example, let's say that we're buying The Price is Right Wednesday morning and we're going to pay $450 for a 30-second spot. In October, that spot's $1,900 because super PACs get all that dark money and they come in here and they buy a bunch of ads and they just buy it at an astronomical price. So our marketing budget throughout those 4 months, it stays the same, but our exposure is about 30% less. That's actually why we added Utah, because Utah is such a red state that they don't have an adjustment in pricing. So while Nevada and Arizona are kind of purple, the pricing goes astronomically up. But in Utah, it doesn't change. So that's one of the strategic reasons for Utah.
And the database that you've built over these last 5 years for those that have not become clients, assume there's some value and gold in that. Are you doing anything to nurture them? And do you have, besides some maybe marketing emails that goes out to them, do you have somebody that's doing warmish calling to these people that have reached out, raised their hand, but never worked with you in the past?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so our system is called Follow Up Boss. It's a CRM that we use. And that's exactly what it is. It is the best system for follow-up. And we don't stop following up with people until they die, until they sell us their house, until they sell their house to somebody else, or they threaten our lives. And we don't harass them, but we check in. So depending on the lead type, the system will automate, hey, maybe you're checking in every day. Maybe you're checking in every week. Maybe you're checking in every month, every quarter. And based on how the disposition of that call or that reach out went, they go into a different funnel. And so my guys go into the office every morning and they have no clue who they're going to call. I mean, to some level, right? They might have a couple calls they know they're going to make, but they sit at their computer, they open up Follow Up Boss, and the system tells them who to call and in what order. And my guys can identify why. Okay, yeah, I haven't talked to her in 87 days. Okay, yeah, I talked to her 2 days ago. She wanted to follow up today. And so the system does all of that for us. And it's made us so efficient. I mean, we had a CRM before this for 3 years, maybe 4 years. And getting the team to switch to this new CRM was hard. I mean, nobody wanted to. It was a fight. It was just like, hold on, this thing's not broken. Why would we switch? And within 3 weeks, everybody was just like jaw to the floor. Like, we are so much more efficient. We can handle so many more leads. And what's nice for my guys is they can handle more leads. We're doing more transactions, and we didn't add any other sales guys in there. So my guys that, maybe they were signing, 70 deals a year last year. Well, now they're probably able to do 85, and that's just more revenue for them because we're not adding more people. In the past, we had to add more people. Now this system it's amazing.
And it is the CRM. It's not an overlay of like a Salesforce.
No, we don't do Salesforce. No, the CRM. Now, I brought on a guy in September, kind of as a COO, and he's a big systems guy. Like on a disk analysis, I'm a high D, but no systems. I don't read manuals. That's not my thing. That's right up his alley. And he's such a good systems guy. And so he was the one that really he pushed us to switch to CRM. And he could train other offices on it. And so he got it all set up the way that he liked it. No overlays. I mean, we have integrations with like Zapier and our online lead flow, stuff like that. But no, it's otherwise. I mean, like our CRM, I don't know what we pay. I should probably $800 to $1,200. And I think that gets us 35 seats.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Salesforce, it's
you're
about $1
billion.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it does a lot of the things that companies like us need, for the client relationship and the things of that nature, but it definitely doesn't, it's not the most ideal or robust for the prospect.
It's hard to learn.
Yeah, it is so many different funnel, and then you got to put overlay technology on it and so forth.
What's cool is it also has, our CRM has a scoreboard. And so we have a 80-inch TV in our kind of center conference room area, and it has a live scoreboard that's constantly updating. And so my guys, I don't remember the point systems, but it's like for every outbound call, they get 2 points. For every outbound text, it's 5 points. For every outbound email, it's 10 points. For every appointment set, it's 500 points. For every inbound call they answer, it's 200 points. And it measures a call has to be over 2 minutes.
Okay.
So in our office, if you walk in there at any given point in time, it's got the top 3 at the top and then everybody else ranked below, and it's moving throughout the day. And so the CRM not only makes us more efficient, but it's a accountability is like amazing.
Competition, especially in the sales side.
Yeah.
So that's just happening automatically. It's just amazing.
Yeah. It's really cool.
The big thing for you is health and mindfulness. So as you're taking on all the added stresses of just everyday life, as the family's growing, as you're growing now, you've got 14, 15 people?
Yep.
And you keep growing. How do you stay focused on your health? That's a big part of the podcast. It's a big piece of what I, my mission is to help, myself and my family, friends stay on track and feel good about themselves. So what have you done? What have you done with your team to help keep them in the freshest, sharpest mind, both, mind and body?
Yeah. So like 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I came across Optimize. I know you're familiar with that. And it's a place here that has saunas, cold plunge, air compression massage, hot tubs, stuff like that. And so I stumbled across that place and fell in love with it. And so, I don't know, maybe my second or third time, I brought everybody from the office there. And everybody was like, this is groundbreaking. So now everybody in the office we have an office account. So we pay for everybody to go there. I go every day, at least 5 or 6 times a week, and I'll go there and do 20 minutes in the sauna, which is great because, just kind of beats you up, and it's alone time, so I can listen to a podcast or just sit there in silence, and then immediately go into the cold plunge. And the cold plunge for me, it's so weird because it's gotten really popular in the last year, and just the way that people talk about it is so true. Like, it's legitimately the hardest thing I do. And it's like, okay, you're going to get in this 42-degree water. You're going to be in there for 3 to 4 minutes, do it twice. But it's like, okay, well, if you can do that, you can breathe your way through it and be calm and relax. Like, all these other problems are just numbers and emails and, made up problems that we all deal with, right? And so that's been huge as far as being calm, being able to handle stress, pressure, because that's the thing. In my 20s, I was very stress driven, and I kind of identified that, like, I utilize stress as a way to drive myself forward. And that is something you can do, but it's going to be massive burnout. And now I don't really get all that stressed. We're way bigger and we have way more going on, and I have way less stress. And I think sauna and cold plunge is huge.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I think you're like me. Like, there's a big fad. We don't want to be part of it, right?
Yeah.
But this is one, and I've been doing it for a few years. It's not a placebo effect. Like, I do feel tremendous. I never feel worse leaving.
No.
Right. And just the sleep you get from I think the sauna helps with that. And just getting in that mindset of understanding your body and knowing you're not going to die in here, and testing those limits.
Yep.
And then those endorphins that you feel afterwards. So, it's one of those fads that I don't think is going to wane. Like, you're seeing more and more people that are jumping on it. Once they get over that fear of, am I going to die in this thing?
Right.
Then it is addicting. And
oh yeah, I mean, and I never want to do it. I'm never looking forward to it. But I think that's one of the things too. Is we live a very cushy life, and it's like we should force ourselves into some trial, right? Whether it's sitting in a 175-degree sauna for 20 minutes or getting into a 40-degree cold plunge, like, that's good for us. Like, we can't just go around like getting the easy way out and just constantly being in like a comfortable state, right? So I like that.
Yeah, and I think the camaraderie that you're building, I visited you there that one time and saw 4 or 5 of your employees in there, and you kind of all off doing your own thing, but there's a camaraderie that's built within there, and then there's probably some time you're sitting in the sauna and maybe with one of the guys, and a good business idea comes up just because you're so relaxed and you're just kind of in a good framework. So
for sure,
it's a great way to build a culture. So with listeners, he's definitely focused on, with the sales team, helping to make sure that they're meeting their goals and staying happy by focusing on what's going to drive them. And that's the trips, the basketball games, the dinners, money. Obviously, that's what plays. But then you throw in and you're like, guys, we're going to also add this into the mix. And they feel like, wow, my leader wants to be better himself, and he's doing this for us. And for you, it's one of the best return on investments with that optimized type situation.
Sure.
So that's fabulous. And, overall, the other, I think, where you put yourself out there, as you're a pilot, right? So, as flying planes, it's not for the slight of, for not many people can do that. So that takes you out of your, maybe not your comfort zone, but when you first got in there and like every time you get in a plane, you get it's a little bit like nervous energy.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make a lot of mistakes, right? So it's originally, it's almost like a little bit of a meditation thing too, though, because you can only be focused on flying. Like, you can't be thinking about other problems, because then it's like, I just went 8 miles and like, how'd I get here? Right. Like, that's not good. And so it's a good thing because you're just focused on that at that given point in time. And I enjoy it. I haven't been flying a lot lately, but I want to get back to it.
Yeah, we got to get up there. Maybe do a little trip up to Sedona.
Yeah,
find the vortex.
Yeah,
find the happiness. So as we close today, for listeners that are out there, no matter what industry that they're in, but if they're a business owner, they have a dream, they have a vision. Any last tips for them to help make that dream become a reality?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I got into Stoicism a few years ago, and that's been super helpful for me, just for differentiating like all the noise and really being able to focus well, and like what matters and what doesn't matter. And, another big thing, and this kind of comes with cold plunge, is like, what do I control? What do I not control? And then, we control very few things in this world. It's like, all right, we'll focus on that and get better at those things. I tell people, like, I was too stupid to not try, right? Like, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, when I got into real estate, it was like I was too dumb. I didn't know enough to not do it. And so it was just kind of like I just did it, and I just found a way, and I was a grinder, and I went hard.
And to take the chances when you don't have as much stress or pressure on you in your 20s or even early 30s gets harder if you're in your 40s to follow that dream because you've got the kids, the house, the mortgage, all those stresses and expenses. So, don't be afraid to dip your toe in the water and to try things. And what's great about you changing this industry too is more and more talk of the commission structure with real estate agents. Like, what are they actually doing for me to get that 3% or 6% all in? And you've created this brand that takes that away, and you've already been light years ahead of where this industry is going. So that's a, maybe dumb luck from your side, but you saw the industry and what was missing.
Yeah. We filled a void there for sure. And the industry's changing. There are these class action lawsuits all over the nation are popping up.
You think it has legs to it? Yeah,
because the one in Missouri won a couple months ago, and once that happened, I think California has one filed. It's going to be a big problem. It really is, and I think real estate agents are going to be in a world of hurt moving forward.
And you know what? If they have any issues, they can come find Andrew the home buyer because there will be lots of leads for them to go after.
Exactly.
Well, Kyle, this has been fantastic. We dug in deep on your history and experience in growing a business. Didn't even touch on one of the other businesses that you grew, which we can have you back on. But that's a whole other extraordinary story of getting in at the ground floor here in Arizona in the marijuana industry and helping to grow a company from the ground up back before things were even fully on board with where things are headed, from that standpoint. But you've been through a lot. You've come out the other side, and I think you are a testament to hard work, determination, knowing your numbers, knowing your people, and continue to have a vision that's going to help not just you grow, but your employees grow, and then all the clients that you're helping out there. So keep doing what you're doing tremendous work. We really appreciate all that you do.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for a new episode of Your Wealth and Beyond later this month. All of the show notes will have ways on how you can learn more about Andrew the Home Buyer, and not just some of the marketing things that they're doing, but ways on how Andrew the Home Buyer can help you if you need to sell your house.
There you go.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yep.
We'll see you all real soon. Happy planning, everybody.